Going back to the early programmatic days. Delete that one. Index explains, take 4. 100. With the tremendous growth of streaming TV, it's had a significant impact on the long-held programmatic norms and the infrastructure that supports our ecosystem. With audiences shifting to streaming from linear TV, programmatic needs to address the new challenges that come with TV viewing trends, particularly with high viewership spikes during primetime and live sporting events. Hi, I'm Tyler Taylor, Senior Director of Central Operations and Exchange Growth at Indus Exchange, and today we're going to look at how streaming TV viewing habits are redefining what we know about peak periods of consumer attention and ad activity. We're now beginning to see 3 distinct patterns in digital consumption throughout the same 24-hour period. Going all the way back to the early days of programmatic on the web, we've seen a pretty consistent pattern where web traffic and thus impression activities ramps up steadily throughout the working day, peaks around midday, and then slowly tails off as commutes typically take people from the office back home. Meanwhile, we have mobile traffic starting to pick up throughout the afternoon and evening as consumers shift devices. Streaming has ushered in that third programmatic consumption pattern within that same 24-hour period. TV behavior is very different from the web and mobile. Primetime TV has long been the place for marketers to advertise and capture attention of tens of millions of viewers tuning into network programs like ABC's TGIF Sitcom Block, Survivor, ER, and Sunday Night Football between 8 and 11 p.m. nightly. With streaming TV, viewers are often watching on demand, but the same primetime viewership trends hold true, as you can see in this example from one of our streaming TV publishers. Viewership clearly spikes between 8 and 11 p.m. On demand or not, old habits do die hard, and we're all creatures of habit and love our sofas, especially after a long day of reading open our TV specs. We hear about on demand a lot, but not all viewership is on demand. As more viewers cut the cord and choose to stream sports and live events, millions of consumers are also tuning into these live streams all at the same time. For programmatic to support streaming TV at scale, the infrastructure of all players in the ecosystem has to support the high concurrent viewership, all condensed into just a few short hours throughout the same day. That coupled with the high demand from buyers who want to also reach this rapidly growing and highly desirable audience. Think of streaming activity as a mountain peak compared to the rolling hills of web and mobile activity. Simply put, programmatic wasn't built with TV in mind, which has created new challenges that we're seeing play out today. One challenge is yield optimization. Media owners have to consider a wide variety of buyers that could have preferred or guaranteed buys in place. They also have to consider carriage agreements and inventory splits that they've struck with not only the network partners, but their device partners. This can get complex in any auction, but the stakes are heightened, especially when you're dealing with millions of viewers all tuning into the same channel within a short period of time throughout the day. Any added latency in that scenario, even 1,000 milliseconds, can result in a lot of lost revenue. Meanwhile, we have marketers wanting to maximize every opportunity possible to reach their audience. So optimizing for a full 24-hour day, rather than just 3 short hours of prime time or for a specific live event, is going to result in a lot of inefficiency and missed opportunities to reach coveted audiences. One of the most important considerations is pacing logic. So if a buyer wants to target, let's say, NFL football on Sundays, it's not enough anymore to create a campaign that runs for, say, 120 days during the season. What ends up happening in this scenario is that DSPs will over-index on buying within the first few ad breaks as it responds to the spike in viewership and ad opportunities, and then they won't respond at all. DSPs have to understand when and for how long events will occur for even optimized pacing. DSPs also have to consider their QPS limits, or queries per second, as they're commonly noted. QPS limits are in place to really help DSPs manage efficiency and cloud computing costs. But if they are not optimized for these viewership patterns, they can result in a lot of missed opportunities. Think about all of the activity that happens on the internet every second of the day. Universally, for the example, let's estimate there's about 10 to 20 million QPS in total. Every DSP will set a much lower limit to match their business needs and their infrastructure costs. Maybe let's say 1 to 3 million QPS is what's set. That means that on a given day, the DSPs will miss out on a majority of the ad opportunities beyond that QPS limit in place. So what exactly does all of this mean for programmatic performance? Well, let's take a look at another example here. During a recent highly anticipated European football match, you can clearly see the drastic spike in bid requests to fill all of the media owners' ad pods during halftime coverage, when these ads typically run. And then a drastic drop off in request as the game resumes without any ad breaks. For a media owner to fill every ad pod in that situation, and for a buyer to maximize every opportunity to engage their audience, the infrastructure has to support high levels of traffic in a relatively short amount of time. Campaigns and algorithms must account for programming schedules to respond in a way that effectively and evenly paces a buyer's budget. The streaming TV market is scaling incredibly quick, and programmatic capabilities have to evolve to catch up. What worked for programmatic in the web won't necessarily work for streaming today. As ad tech races to innovate and close that gap between existing tools and the needs of TV buyers and sellers, it's vital to remember just how unique streaming TV is from the rest of the programmatic market.